I'm calling it right now. At the end of this video, people will be hunting for the comics we're about to talk about. In fact, this may be the most affordable trending list we have ever covered.
And with 5 of the books on the list released in the last 10 months, they are all from 2024. This is your sign to go hunting at your local comic shops because these are out there and a lot of them are still cover price.
These are the most trending comic books in the world this week. Hit the subscribe button. We've been making this video for over 6 years straight without skipping a beat. And number 10 on the list, Jonathan Hickman Brilliance. My favorite #1 issue that I've read all year across all publishers of any title. We have Aliens versus Avengers issue #1. What if the MCU was filled with aliens? And how would the heroes deal with it during an alien takeover, an alien apocalypse?
We're reporting $8 average sales, and we saw a pre-sale of a CGC 9.8 for $160 back in early September for the high. But right now, we have a 276% increase in copies sold this week because issue 2 finally hit. And I know there's a lot of excitement about this miniseries.
This is a 4-issue miniseries. When I got to the last page back in September when I read issue #1, my jaw literally hit the floor. What happens to Miles Morales, which I won't get into spoilers, but I will say it's one of the most epic things I've experienced when reading a superhero comic book in years. And I mean that wholeheartedly. It's crazy. Everyone's got to experience this. And I'll throw this out there. We talked about Dan Panosian possibly being Artist of the Year for all of the works that he's been doing at Marvel and DC respectively. I think Jonathan Hickman's track record this year puts him as one of the top writers, if not the writer of the year. I'm thinking Ultimate Spider-Man, Wolverine Revenge, Doom #1.
And I think this is perfect timing on Marvel's end because issue 2 of this came out the exact same week as the prequel to Alien Romulus, a one-shot out there. If you guys are fans of the Alien movies, you really need to be reading all of this stuff. It's great.
Which brings us to #9 on the list. Did you know that at New York City Comic Con, Image Comics announced 2 different titles by some stellar creative teams, and both ash cans have made the trending 20? Well, #9 on the list, The Lucky Devils, issue #1. This is seeing $20 average sales, $75 high raw sales, and an increase of copies sold of 511%.
The creative team behind The Lucky Devils excites me a ton because Charles Soule and Ryan Brown are back together and back at it again. You may remember them as the creative team of 8 Billion Genies, and this one looks like a fantastic one already. While most people talk about there being a little angel on one shoulder and a little devil on the other, well, we happen to have 2 little devils on your shoulder and 2 20-somethings from Chicago find out the hard way what's going to happen when they become 2 of the most powerful people on Earth and their intentions are good, but outcomes may not be. So while 8 Billion Genies follows 8 billion people with one wish, this story is going to follow 2 people with 2 little devils who are helping them do everything that they can. And while they are trying to make the world a better place, we all know what they say about the path to hell being paved with good intentions.
Ryan Brown's going to be drawing some wacky devils all throughout this. Apparently, the devils are causing a revolution in hell. It seems like a wild story, but clearly there is a lot of trust in this creative team. And as mentioned, this isn't the only preview that we got for an up-and-coming title at Image Comics, because next year we have Jason Aaron's Bug Wars, which seems so preposterous. It's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but fantasy vibes with insects.
And this is an interesting one. We actually have spec that died before we could even report on it. #8 on the list, DC New Frontier #1 from 2004.
$10 average sales. This book hasn't sold at a 9.8. When it did, it went for $130 back in June of this year. An increase of copies sold of 400% because rumors started circulating that James Gunn would be using this narrative, which is actually fantastic. It's like an Eisner-winning comic book. You know, it's the transition from Golden Age to Silver Age. You know, you have the Trinity that's meeting Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern and the Flash, and it's a really great story. Everyone's got to read it. But before we even hit the mic, James Gunn saw that leak and said, hey, unfortunately, entirely untrue.
I love the fact that he is so active on social media, and it was really polite of him to call this out and immediately say, not happening.
All right, so let's flash forward a little bit with Flash Thompson at the list at #7 with Amazing Spider-Man 654 from 2011, seeing $25 average sales. Someone picked up a 9.8 last month in October for $101. This is the issue where Flash Thompson bonds with the Venom symbiote, and there is an Agent Venom movie now being rumored to start production.
It's a 500% increase in copies sold this week, and this might just be the tip of the iceberg, because I definitely agree with what you and the Guru were saying this last week on the Hot 10. Spider-Man spec for the next 2 years is going to be very, very strong. We know Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is coming out. Venom just wrapped up, and while we're not quite certain what's happening with Eddie Brock, the fact that they planted Null and Clintar, these are the type of things that are going to be happening on the way forward. We already know that Secret Wars is a thing, and with Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom, plus he's got a good bond with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, there are many, many things that could very well come to fruition.
Flash Thompson's been on the screen before, but he's a more comedic take on the character, which leads me to believe first that this may not be happening. But then I'm reminded that the Venom movies were largely comedy driven, to probably many people's chagrin, but it seemingly worked out. I also want to mention Kevin Feige wore a hat that had a logo that looked like a white symbiote, and there's no confirmation about why he did that. It could have been to plug the new animation that's coming to Disney Plus, or maybe he's just trying to gear us for who's going to be donning the symbiote next. Could it be Flash Thompson?
While we appreciate you watching us on YouTube, we know you can't all be on X and Instagram following every single little breadcrumb trail, and that's the reason why I like to use the Key Collector app. This is the one that brought to my attention Kevin Feige's hat, and lots of other rumors and tips and tricks that will up your collecting game.
When news breaks, comics move. They become trending, and Key Collector's at the forefront, making sure that you get notified and so that you can see the comic books that are starting to trend because of said news. And if you use code TOM101, you unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app that I use every single day, and you support the show.
And speaking of more symbiotes and Spider-Man spec, number 6 on the list, Venom number 4, the Donny Cates run from 2018. We are seeing $18 average sales and $66 for a CGC 9.8. 340% increase in copies sold on The Origin of Null, Second Appearance of Null, and The Origin of Nowhere, The Severed Head of a Celestial.
I mean, this right here is a really good sign. I mean, the book is only hitting $66, as you mentioned, but it hit heights of over $200 back in 2020 because this run, which is a short, 35 issues, is so epic. It's so fantastic. It's one of the best modern comic books of our generation. And I like seeing that the spec has gone from first appearance of Null to other minor keys that are super affordable, because it shows that people want to see this. And how often are you hearing that about anything coming out of the Sonyverse?
Really not that often. I mean, a Sony movie comes out and then pretty much it's going to be dead in the water and it's not going to have a whole lot of traction.
Yeah, keep an eye on these very minor keys that are getting super affordable in this run. And these prices are so low that even post-movie and spec actively happening, they're still affordable in my book.
Now, I personally think this book has been a long time coming. Number 5 on the list, Mass Effect Redemption number 1, a Dark Horse comic book from 2010. This actually bridges the gap from the first game to the second game. We are seeing $15 average sales and $71 for a CGC 9.8. That still feels supremely low for, again, the first appearance of the Mass Effect universe in comic books. It was just a 4-issue miniseries, and really, I don't think a lot of people bought it, but we are seeing a 733% increase in copies sold this week on an announcement that Mass Effect TV series is in production at Amazon, and we have the writer and producer of Fast and Furious 9, Daniel Casey, attached.
Now, this is a monster increase in copies sold, largely because a lot of people weren't specking on this book, but I like seeing this, especially after Amazon's track record post, I don't know, probably seeing HBO's Last of Us and then adapting Fallout to the screen, which was a major hit. And did you see that Macaulay Culkin has actually been attached to said property for the season 2?
I'm very, very excited. The fact that Fallout was successful, the fact that Last of Us was successful, proves that not every single video game, movie, or television series has to be Borderlands or the Super Mario Brothers movie.
They just have to focus in on the source material.
Tom, I like your shirt.
Ooh, my J. Scott Campbell shirt. Your boy is flying out to Denver this Monday to not just make content with J. Scott Campbell at his warehouse. And I was told I'm the first person to have ever been invited to do this. I'm teaming up with Davis Ryder on Whatnot to debut Scott on the app for the first time. And he's giving us access to original art, exclusives, and so much more. I need your guys' support. Link in the description. Join me on Whatnot. It's going to happen 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's Mountain Time in Denver, but 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the app. I'm hosting, Davis is hosting, and if you use my link in the description, you get a $15 credit that you can use on your very first purchase.
So as a shop owner, I get the question all the time, what should I buy and invest in?
True.
And I try to tell people, you want to buy keys, you want to buy older books, you want to buy Silver Age. And this, number 4 on the list, ticks off all of this. It is a major key. It is a Silver Age book. It is a single-digit Avengers.
Kirby.
Why is this so cheap?
Number 4 on the list. Avengers number 9, first appearance of Wonder Man. I've had to check this price multiple times. A 5.0 for a single-digit Avengers. That's going to be on the screen. $270?
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But this is realistically how far a lot of the MCU spec has fallen. We're seeing a 500% increase in copies sold this week because of the Marvel trailer that came out last week. And the thing that I think a lot of people were really excited about was Wonder Man. The fact that it's still in production, it's still happening, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen looks really great in this trailer.
Between him and Ben Kingsley, this show looks like it's going to be hysterical. And I do think a lot of people forgot that this was happening and probably wouldn't have been surprised if it got canceled. However, people poo-pooed Agatha all along, and that show was excellent.
I really enjoyed Agatha all along, and this is one of those things that it might just be kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. You've got a team that just isn't that mainstream, and all of a sudden, with a character or people can enjoy it more. It's a 500% increase in copies sold this week on, again, Silver Age book. It's a major key. Single-digit Avengers. It's crazy how little this book is selling for.
Which brings us to number 3 on the list with Absolute Wonder Woman number 1. Double cover price, $10 average sales. And we just chatted about this book last week because it was trending, because it's such a great read. I love seeing comic books on our list that aren't just for like spec reasons, but because they're getting so much buzz in the comic reading community that it's making them expensive because people missed out on their pre-orders and they're going to LCSs hunting these down.
This is the 3rd straight week on the list, and we're seeing a 150% increase in copies sold on Absolute Wonder Woman number 1. Well, Absolute Superman number 1 came out this week, and they were flying off the shelves. People are really into this Absolute universe, which is why I think it's odd that this next one on the list has flown under the radar and people just missed it. Number 2 on the list, DC All-In Special number 1. This came out, about 5-6 weeks ago, selling for $5 average sales. 123% increase in copies sold because people are finally in on the secret. You know whose first appearance is in this book? Oh yeah, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Batman. Seriously, this is a book that is still cover price. Lots of places are gonna have it on their wall, and a lot of people aren't paying attention to the fact that, yeah, this is where these characters are introduced.
The Absolute Universe officially can be compared to like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. There's a lot of different Bruce Waynes. We've seen different retellings of these characters, and they come and go, and people don't care about it. But issue number 1s that have performed as strongly as they have proves that these characters have elevated, that these are not looked at as traditional takes on the characters. No, these are so untraditional that they are now moved on and now being collected as characters in their own right to own as a key appearance.
When you have DC minor keys like Death of Batman Earth 2 or Catwoman Earth 2 and Bruce Wayne Kiss, it just has so much to it. These are very clearly different characters, and they've absolutely flipped the script on every single one of these absolute characters, which makes them even more desirable.
This Absolute Universe is clearly something special. If they keep this up, it's going to start competing with like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. Bruce Wayne, Diana, like these characters have been done before on different Earths. We've seen different narratives with these characters, and they don't get the type of key significance and attention that these characters in the Absolute Universe have been getting. And it has retroactively made this book a strong key, despite it being in solicitation that they were going to appear here. And been on Key Collector this entire time, and it's still trending at $5 as these books take off. And with the success of Superman, it is clear why this book is so high on our list this week.
Like and subscribe, and if you want to go an extra layer, you should probably go to your local comic shop and pre-order the Crashdown graphic novel. It's really good, and it's written by my buddy Tom and that other guy, Fire Guy Ryan, who's not here today. He's on vacation, and drawn expertly by Ben Temple-Smith from 30 Days of Night fame.
That's right. FOC is going to be November 17th. You get all 4 issues in one graphic novel. We have some back matter in there so you can see some behind the scenes. I have a really cool forward being written. I don't want to say who by, but I'm very humbled. And, of course, subscribe to the videos. We make these every single week for the comic famine. Number 1 on the list, Chip Zdarsky. I love how they did this all new initiative, and they have all these new creative teams, and they looked at Batman, and they were like, yeah, let's not break what doesn't need to be fixed.
So continuing from the regular Chip Zdarsky writing universe, we now have number 1 on the list, Batman number 153, seeing $5 average sales. This is just cover price, but it's an 833% increase in copies sold. For this issue, it's the kickoff issue of the all-in era.
Dude, this came out last month. Like, you can probably go to your LCS and find this for cover price, but it has an uptick of copies sold of 833% for so many good reasons. You know, Chip Zdarsky picked this back up on his run, as you mentioned, but it's in the future a little bit, you know? And it feels like it. When you start reading it, it's like, okay, I'm jumping in at a good starting point. It feels like a fresh narrative because it is. We have a first appearance of Commander Star. You see this guy? He's kind of like, he's got Batman vibes, you know? Like, he is a vigilante, but he has a lot of the same traits that Batman has. Like, he doesn't kill, etc. But he's kind of like a Dark Knight meets, dare I say, Captain America.
Batman may have met his match, and Gotham City may have a new protector, especially with the look from this guy. Oh my gosh, red, white, blue, stars and stripes, absolutely the type of anti-hero you would expect to be hired by the government to take over and protect the citizens of Gotham City.
There's also another first appearance in here, Leonin Kull, who is a member of the Court of Owls. I love that they are sourcing stuff from the New 52 Scott Snyder era.
Court of Owls, the first 6 issues from the Batman New 52 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, is an absolute must-read, and it's great to see that name mentioned here because they are already something that needs to happen in the comic books, and with rumors that we may be seeing Court of Owls in the next Matt Reeves Batman movie, they are absolutely more prevalent than people formerly thought.
This is a great jumping on point for Batman right now. Chip Zdarsky has been killing it. And if you want some more Court of Owls in your reading material, don't forget about Batman City of Madness by Christian Ward. That was a Black Label 3-issue series that just went to hardcover that features the villainous team. Like and subscribe. I need your support. And as always,
geek responsibly.
If you want to support the show, I know I'm hitting you guys with so many plugs this video. I apologize, but there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. I got my graphic novel coming out. I'm going to go hang out with J. Scott Campbell. Join the Mystery Mail Call. It supports the videos that you watch directly, and we send you comics every single month. And this month, everyone gets an Adi Granov Uncanny X-Men #3 row cover. That's easily the sexiest row cover I have ever seen, and that's 1 per box. Trinity Comics exclusive. Sell for more than the box costs. ComicTom.com. Enough said.